Thank you, Madam Speaker. I yield myself as much time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
Madam Speaker, women veterans are the fastest growing demographic within the veteran population, yet they underutilize VA healthcare resources. This is primarily due to misperceptions about eligibility and available resources. Many women leaving the military may not realize that they are eligible to use VA services, nor that VA offers extensive gender-specific care such as mammography, prenatal and maternity care, infertility, and mental health care that addresses complex trauma, including military sexual trauma, otherwise known as MST, and combat-related post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. The VA and U.S. Air Force Women's Health Transition Training Pilot Program works to address issues commonly experienced by women veterans when accessing VA care. This successful improvement to the Transition Assistance Program, or TAP program, is jointly run by the USAF and VA. Transitioning women service members can attend an additional day of TAP to learn about women's health care, counseling, and social services available at VA to ensure that they receive a warm handoff between the Department of Defense and the Veterans Administration. Now, Mr. Cisneros' bill would expand the Women's Health Transition Training Pilot Program to more locations and authorizes the program through the end of fiscal year 2020. This great legislation has my full support. Madam Speaker, although women are the fastest growing cohort of veterans, women veterans are less likely to seek care and services at VA. This bill aims to address that and make VA more accessible and responsive to women veterans. Madam Speaker, this pilot program educates transitioning service women about VA's healthcare services. The data collected from this pilot program can be applied to the Transition Assistance Program to better meet the needs of all transitioning service members. I'd like to thank Mr. Cisneros for his hard work on this legislation, and I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman from California reserves. The gentleman from Florida is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I yield myself as much time as I may consume. Madam Speaker, I rise today in support of H.R. 2942 as amended, the Helping Expand and Launch Transitional Health, or HEALTH, for Women's Veterans Act. And I want to thank and congratulate Representative Cisneros on this very good bill. And again, I thank the chairman and the ranking member for bringing this bill forward. Women are joining the armed services in record numbers, Madam Speaker, and are an important part of the military and veterans community. In recognition of the brave services these women are providing our country, it is incumbent on us to ensure that they are aware of the many benefits afforded to them. Unfortunately, far too many women veterans are unaware of the health care services available for women through the Department of Veterans Affairs healthcare system. That's why VA and the Air Force partnered together to create a Women's Health Transition Training Pilot Program. The pilot program provides service women who are on the verge of leaving the military with information about the care they may be eligible to receive from VA, how to enroll in VA, and how to successfully transition to civilian life. In short, it empowers women to make informed decisions about their health care by educating them about the benefits available. As of June 5th, there have been 50 pilot sessions, Madam Speaker, and the women that have attended those sessions have reported a 98% satisfaction rate. The Health for Women Veterans Act would extend the Women's Health Transition Training Pilot through fiscal year 2020 to ensure that women leaving the military continue to benefit from it. This bill is sponsored again by Representative Gil Cisneros of California, and I thank him for his work. A very, very important bill. I urge my colleagues to join me in supporting this bill, and I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman from Florida reserves. The gentleman from California is recognized.
At this time, Madam Speaker, I'd like to yield 3 minutes to my good friend and member of the Veterans Affairs Committee, and as I said before, Mr. Cisneros is a veteran himself. I'd like to yield 3 minutes to the author of this legislation, the gentleman from California, Mr. Cisneros.
The gentleman from California is recognized for 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for yielding. I also, again, want to thank the gentleman from Florida for his support on this bill as well. Madam Speaker, I want to thank Chairman Takano and Ranking Member Rowe of the House Veterans Affairs Committee for working with me to ensure my bill passed out of committee on a bipartisan basis. Today, I rise to ask my colleagues for their support on my bill, H.R. 2942, the Helping Expand and Launch Transitional Health, or Health for Women's Veteran Act, introduced with my colleague and fellow vet Congresswoman Chrissy Houlihan. As a Navy veteran, one of my top priorities is ensuring active service members who are transitioning into civilian life, the civilian world, are connected to the VA system and provided the best education and tools needed to succeed. Despite being the fastest growing cohort in our military community, many servicewomen face unique challenges with their VA benefits. Studies have shown that women veterans on average connect with the VA nearly 3 years after military service, which can result in higher rates of physical and mental health issues. In a male-dominated VA system, it's not surprising why women veterans often report that they are uncomfortable seeking women-specific care. My bill would require the Department of Veterans Affairs to extend an ongoing initiative with the Air Force and the Transitional Assistance Program, which educates transitioning servicewomen about women's health care at the VA. Specifically, the bill would mandate an extension of the program across all military service branches and require a report on the feasibility of making it permanent. Participants of this pilot program report an increased likelihood to use VA health care and have shown higher rates of confidence with the VA. It is time our women service members and veterans receive the care they need, and this bill will do just that. I urge my colleagues to join me in support of my bill to ensure that when servicewomen transition to civilian life, they are provided with the information that will help them navigate their VA benefits in a common-sense way. With that, Madam Speaker, I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman from California reserves.
I reserve.
The gentleman from Florida is recognized.
Madam Speaker, I have no other speakers. I'm prepared to close, and I just want to say that this is an outstanding bill, and I'm glad we worked on this bill because we have a lot of women veterans that need this, and I want to make it permanent. Again, let's pass this bill as soon as possible and get it to the Senate. Thank you, and I yield back, Madam Speaker.
The gentleman from Florida yields back. The gentleman from California is recognized.
Madam Speaker, I'm also prepared to close, and I say in my final remarks, I urge all of my colleagues to support our women veterans by joining me in passing this very important legislation, H.R. 2942, as amended, and I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back. The question is, will the House suspend the rules and pass the bill, H.R. 2942, as amended? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the chair, 2/3 being in the affirmative, the rules are suspended. The bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.